Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Camino with Kid Hogg.
Hello, good morning, and a warm as welcome as ever to the eclectic Saturday mix that is Camino here on the station that brings us all together. It's Talk Radio Europe. Coming to you live on the show today, Homenaje a Mayo. Today, the 30th of May, we pay tribute to the month that changes the campo from green to gold, that bridges the fresh floral spring with the onset of summer. We visit the Swiss Art Gallery, where admission is free to punters in swimsuits. We check out a German man who's been awarded 900 euros refund for a holiday where he couldn't find a sun lounger. From trivia to the tragedy of a war cemetery in Ukraine, a buffalo in Bangladesh that, because of its orange quiff, is a dead ringer for Donald Trump. And we're not in the doghouse, but we are in the dog park, where we explore the social norms and pecking orders of this latter-day urban phenomenon, where dogs and their owners make new friends, frolic together, and have fun in the sun.
Camino with Kid Hogg.
And it is to the dog park that we go first on the show, to Seville, in fact, where we're joined by Koibi and Fifi. Koibs, thanks for being with us. Can you introduce us to Fifi?
Hi, good morning. I'll see if she's up for a word, actually. Fifi? No, she's not actually making any sound at the moment. She's a bit preoccupied, but we are coming to you live from the Alamillo Dog Park in Sevilla, where it's probably touching 34 degrees already.
Wow, hot in Sevilla. Yeah. Well, that's just wicked. So Fifi hasn't learned to talk.
No, she doesn't talk. She barks. She's a dog.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she's just been barking at some golfers that we can see on the other side of the fence there. But yeah, she is a vocal dog, especially when playing with other dogs. Now, we haven't trained her to talk in the radio yet. No.
All right, man. Now listen, I'm not going to kid you. I do know Fifi, and I'm going to ask you this: living with a 45-kilo Shepherd Mastin in a first-floor flat in town, how vital to the quality of your life is the dog park?
It is. It's second to none, really. A dog park and a nice place to go for a stroll in the mornings is definitely important. But we visit dog parks probably once, if not twice a day, generally in the evenings when the sun's going down and it's a little bit cooler. We've got a couple of dog parks close to where we live. The favourite of which is called La Vega de Triana, it's an enclosed space, but it's quite big. It's probably about the same size of a football field. In terms of like square meterage, and it's covered in trees and lots of trees everywhere, benches where people can go and sit down. So that's kind of where we go and we hang out in the evenings and go and meet and hang out with the other dogs. And it's quite a vibe, really. And it's a vibe that is probably interesting to anyone who's listening, who first of all doesn't own a dog, secondly does own a dog and knows what I'm talking about, and thirdly owns a dog in the campo, because it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, we don't have dog parks in the Pueblo or in the campo. Who would you expect to meet in your visit to the dog park? Give us names.
It depends on the day. So you kind of get to know all of the dogs that go there. And I say the dogs because I probably only know two human names from the dog park, who are people who have actually become friends from knowing their dog. But I know a good number of dogs' names. So it's a funny kind of situation where like you turn up to the dog park and you'll see the dogs there and they'll come and greet you. And they'll greet you because they kind of know you and they kind of recognize your smell. So when you go in, you can go and say hello to all of the chuppies. But their owners are kind of there and they're kind of in the background and you don't really know what they're called, but you do have a lot in common with them. You end up chatting all the time. Almost exclusively about dogs, which never actually gets boring, which is incredible. So we've got an array of different dogs in our park. You can range from like tiny little handbag dogs to like big mastiffs. The biggest of which is a guy named Goddy, is the dog's name. I don't know the owner's name, as I just said, but he's a short-haired, big, black, absolute beast who is almost too big to kind of move around. But he commands the dog park. He's kind of like the king of the jungle, to be honest. And Goddy has got a special character. He likes to steal other dogs' bowls, and he'll take them in his mouth. And then if he closes his mouth, you don't actually know that he's got a dog bowl in there. So like that's what he likes doing. He's like his pastime.
Sorry to interrupt you, Kobe. You take bowls to the dog park. What's that about?
Yeah. Every dog, because there's no taps there in this particular dog park. So there's an unwritten rule whereby you bring your own dog's water and then you contribute to the dog bowls that are around. So people do bring dog bowls. We took ours, but it actually got eaten by Goddy. So now we just use everyone else's. But we do make sure we take our own water. That's it's like a code, you have to respect the code.
Yeah. And
another one with water. So you kind of get to know these like funny characters who are hanging around. So Goddy's one of them, and then just to give you like another couple of examples, there's a Cocker Spaniel whose name is Polo, and Polo's got a really funny disorder whereby like it's almost like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of vibe. If he sees any water in a dog bowl, he has to drink it. Like he can't hold himself back. And I'm not exaggerating for the radio. Like if you're pouring water from 50 meters away and he spots you, he will sprint over and just lap up all the water. And then behind Polo comes his owner, who I can't actually remember her name. She will come running behind you to say, no, stop giving him water, because he's like addicted to water. It's like a disorder he's got. So then he'll drink water all evening, and by the time he gets home, he just pisses all over the house. So
okay, all right. So you sort of got a kind of dehydration thing going on. Do dogs bring toys to the park?
Yes, dogs do bring toys, and that's a funny thing. It's kind of an odd one, because dogs bring toys. We don't take toys, for example, because if we take, for example, our dog Fifi loves balls. So if she finds a ball, like she won't let go of it. So we try not to let her have balls. And then there's a funny possession thing that goes on. It's like part of the social dynamic of the whole dog park thing. So if an owner brings a ball with their dog, maybe it's the dog's favorite ball, but the chances is that dog will lose its ball, and it will get snapped up by another dog. And then that owner will say, "Oh, can I have my ball back?" And I don't know if you've ever seen a dog with a ball, but if a dog decides that it doesn't want to give you something in its mouth, there's absolutely no way of getting it back. So there's like this odd dynamic of like an owner waiting for you to control your dog, which you can't do. So it's almost like your hands in the air. It's like, well, there's nothing I can do about this. You're just going to have to hold on. And that happens a lot. And that actually happened. One of the funniest times that happened was a dog found a brand new coat, which was owned by a very posh Sevillano girl. She's probably 4 years old, and in the dog park with her granddad. And you could kind of tell they weren't doggy people. So this dog decides to steal this bright red coat and runs around with it, dragging it through the mud. In the meantime, you've got the old man who's getting really upset about it, and the owner of the dog who's stolen the coat is basically hands on her hips, saying like, "Well, there's nothing I can do about it." And everyone else found it really funny. We were watching it for about half an hour, because it's just some things you have to accept. There's some things you can't really control.
Now I'm getting this vibe of everybody sort of frolicking around happily together. But there's sort of a food chain. You've alluded to Goddy being at the apex of the food chain. Who else sort of dominates the top of the food chain?
Yeah, there are the top of the food chain. So you've got Goddy, the Cane Corso, and then you've got some Siberian wolf dogs. One of them's called Norte, and the other one, I can't remember his name at the moment, but big Siberian wolf dogs that actually look like wolves and are intimidating. They are like, they're wow. They kind of stop you in your tracks. And actually, most dogs will come to you and say hello, and the Siberians, they don't really, because you don't really know what they're thinking. They're like a little bit mysterious, but beautiful in that way. So all the dogs will be playing. Our dog loves playing with other dogs, but when the Siberians turn up, everyone kind of just avoids them and like gets a bit stiff. It's like in the movies, you know, when like the bad boy turns up, something like that.
All right, okay, okay, yeah.
So that's a funny one. And then further down the pecking order, like you've got some dogs who are really shy, but generally those are the newcomers. And generally you find out that like the more dogs that spend time with the friends they make, and the more they kind of hang out.
I imagine being a new boy or girl on the block is a bit intimidating. You must get surrounded by people sniffing you. Yeah.
Well, you do, especially if someone's coming on heat. You know, that's you don't go to a dog park at that point.
No.
But yeah, they're like,
that adds another dimension, really.
Like, there are other points where like generally the dogs are accepted quite quickly, apart from if there is a particular breed, which is not our favorite breed, which is a Belgian Malinois. And Belgian Malinois are kind of like they're kind of like the bad boys of the park, but they're also a bit outcasty because they're so intelligent and so like high energy.
Yeah.
And they're also the most athletic dogs on the planet. They're incredible. But generally the owners haven't bought them for, you know, to train them up like police dogs. They just have them as pets. So you get these kind of quite unruly, thuggish like dogs who are just kind of on a frequency above everyone else, and they kind of spoil the vibe, and everyone feels that, you know, everyone kind of like, oh God,
right,
you know, just turned up.
Okay.
You know,
are the owners attributable to their dogs? Can you see a dog, say a new dog on the block, and think, oh, that must belong to her or him because she in some way resembles it?
I think in an energetic way, yes. I think you can see like. I think you can spot that, but I'm not sure. Like, people don't really look like their dogs. You don't really get that, which is the old, you know, it's a common saying, isn't it? But there's definitely like an energy thing. Like the playful dogs are generally people with ADHD. Someone who's got ADHD and just can't stop will probably get a collie. The Mastiff, the Cane Corso, is owned by this old bloke with long hair, comes and he smokes his rollies. You know, and he's very chilled. The dog Polo, who's addicted to water, is owned by Victoria. And Victoria just chats nonstop, and she loves the chat. So, like, energetically, they're very similar.
Yeah, sure.
With like, I think they pick up on that quite a lot.
Yeah, of course, the dog picks up on your energy. There's no question of that. Listen, man.
And there's some physical.
Yeah, go on.
Things about dog parks that are brilliant. So there's this one guy who's got an Alsatian, and he can't control his Alsatian, and he's like a really odd guy. And he'll be hanging out with his Alsatian, who will be stealing someone's football or something like that, and there's no way he can control it. And the only way he's tried to figure out is actually rugby tackling his dog, which is just an impossible feat. So you'll be having a conversation with this guy, and the dog will walk maybe within a couple of meters, and he'll literally launch himself, like flat out dive to try and catch his dog. And the dog is obviously like super agile and just like boom, moves out the way. And then the guy will stand up and just keep chatting to you, and it's so funny. And then we've got another dog. Like, dogs, obviously, I mean, anyone who knows anything about dogs know that they greet each other by smelling each other's anus or their private bits.
Yeah.
So they'll go up and they'll have a good whiff. We were in the park the other day, and there's this dog called Logan, and Logan is like, he's quite a big, probably Labrador cross with something big, like a Mastiff and a Labrador or Husky. So he's kind of roaming around the park, and he's coming to say hello, and he'll just kind of like, you know, he's quite a big boy, so he'll take big steps towards you, and he'll just be by you, pat him and stuff, and he'll look up at you and say hello. And then Logan's walking towards the other day to this girl that we'd never met, who was one of the dog owners. We probably know a dog, but not her. And Logan just goes in a straight line, like a beeline, straight for her crotch. And you can hear from a feet away Logan going straight to her crotch and going and having a good old sniff. and it was so funny that but I was with Paolo. We just started laughing to each other, like giggling, but no one else made any comments.
What did the owner of the crutch do?
She had a smile on her face. She thought it was a little bit funny, but didn't want to let on.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great place to be. So any Campo dogs who are wanting to discover the dog park, then definitely get down there. And if anyone does get a dog parks are a saviour, because they're also great exercise for dogs.
Yes,
get on them.
They play, don't they? I mean, just to finish on the importance of play for dogs. They love to
super,
play,
super,
don't they?
Super. They love it. Yeah. I mean, it's super. I think it's
kind
really
of necessary as well. Yeah, it's socializing.
Definitely. It's interaction. So, and you can definitely tell the dogs between, the dogs who have been socialized from a young age and can play and like to play, and then the dogs who are kind of, generally the rescues who have been locked up for a while. They'll turn up and be a little bit more antisocial, more problematic. So there's definitely a correlation between how much a dog plays, how it gets on with everybody, and how aggressive it is with other chuppies as well.
Yeah. Well, listen, all power to the dog park. Coach, thanks so much for your time, man. And carry on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and a big hi to Fifi as well.
She's eating mud at the moment. I'll let her know when she's finished.
Okay, yeah, we didn't talk about dog poo or poo bags or anything. We don't need to talk about that. Let's just focus on the upside. Listen, man, have a great weekend.
And you.
All right. Cheers.
Goodbye. Happy weekend.
Cheers now. Bye. That's Koibi in, I think it was Triana in Seville, in the dog park. Says the New York Post, he is the commander in beef. An albino buffalo with a fetching coiffure blonde comb-over is going viral for its wildly spot-on resemblance to, guess who? Yes, Donald Trump. Fans are flocking to a farm in the Bangladesh town of Narayanganj for a glimpse of the 4-year-old media star whose strawberry blonde hairdo looks like it was fluffed by the president's own barber. The buffalo's owner, Zia Udin, says that unlike the Donald, albino buffaloes are peaceful and non-aggressive. But sadly for Donald the buffalo, he is no more. He was slaughtered and eaten at the Islamic festival of Eid last Tuesday. So much for buffalo, but what about sheep? Do you like sheep? And are you looking for a job? Yes, Shepherd Wanted. This briefest of job adverts has just gone totally viral in China, attracting 60 million Weibo views and 1,000 actual applicants. Job description: herd 3,000 sheep on 30,000 plus mu of grassland. That has to be a measure of area. Salary 16,000 yuan per year. That's $2,360. Interested parties, please leave a message. Your prospective employer then really pushes the boat out, promising 0 holidays, brutal minus 30-degree winters, and epic isolation in Mongolia, just 300 kilometers from the nearest town. But hey, perks. Perks include free food, board, motorcycle, and a horse. Well, why did it go viral, this ad? Well, it's all about white-collar exhaustion. Give me a yak over my boss. Cooped in a high-rise like a battery chicken, and the sheer pressure of Chinese urban workday life, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Give me a horse, epic isolation in Mongolia, and 3,000 sheep any day.
En Camino with Kid Hogg.
Yeah, how cool that. Ron Jones is coming back on. I look forward to that. Nice to have you back, Ron. A Russian wife turns to her husband. What is this special military operation our glorious leader keeps talking about? Her husband replies, it's a 3-day war to stop America and NATO that's been going on now for 1,550 days. Oh, right, she says. How's it going? Well, he replies, so far we've lost over 1.2 million troops killed or wounded, 24 dead generals, around 1,200 tanks, over 400 aircraft, hundreds of helicopters, tens of thousands of artillery pieces, dozens of naval vessels, including our flagship. Large sections of our economy are now war-dependent, and we've had to rely on convicts, foreign mercenaries and North Koreans, plus repeated mobilization just to keep the war going. Wow, said the wife. And America and NATO, how are they doing? Oh, them, he said. Well, they haven't turned up yet. Not exactly NATO, but I turned up there a few months ago on a snowbound Sunday in February. Ukraine greets you at the border rather like Morocco does in Ceuta, in that it's up to you to find your way around. The process of getting through the border is not obvious, particularly if you're bringing a vehicle. Unlike in Morocco, there are no helpful men in jalabas and duck-feet babouche slippers who greet you like a long-lost brother and for 20 dirhams will fast-track you through the red tape. Here, at the threshold of Ukraine, in spite of the fact that you're bringing them a potential military asset, no one seems remotely motivated to speed you on your way. Speed is not a thing here. The traveller in a hurry, the border staff are in no rush. Beneath a shed the size of an aircraft hangar are various smaller sheds, heated porter cabins with small windows, at which travellers muscle for the attention of an indifferent official inside. Invariably, the window you bang on is opened eventually by a large crop-haired woman who barks you an unintelligible instruction before slamming her window shut. So you try another random window from which a different uniformed woman grabs your passport, shutting you out and her heat in. I stamp my feet outside in the freezing exhaust and hanging cloud of my own breath. An incrementally flustered old duffer faffing with paperwork in the liminal stasis of the border. The snow was falling steadily as, elated to be back in the warmth of my pickup truck, I was nonchalantly waved on by the last outpost of security. It had taken 3 hours to get through. I felt elated, not only because I'd made it to Ukraine with the truck and contents intact, but because this frontier was the sensation of a different world, an echo of the unknown, the vibration of something visceral that stirs the soul of a traveller, a dishevelled Slavic exoticism, residually Soviet, something that definitely wasn't Euroland. The potholed road that calls itself the M11 bisects the clustered border town of Medica. Curbsides of snow-bound, baggage-laden pedestrians, icicle-bearded trucks, café and bureau de change trailers staffed by more big, short-haired women. But these ones had calculators. It was a proper frontier where you have to change money. Past the ribboned hinterland of the border, the M11 opens out into country on the bones of its peasant arse. Small holdings of hacked trees and stubbled plots fenced with bedsprings, a rural subsidence of 2-room chabola dwellings with tin chimneys poking from sagging roofs. Beneath flurries of snow, a large silver onion, the incongruous dome of an Orthodox church, curtained in and out of a slow whirl blizzard, the sky so drained as to be indiscernible from the land below it. A few kilometres further, I stopped in a town called Mostiska, where I sat in a warm cafe decorated with Valentine balloons, enjoying incongruous chocolate cake and black coffee, next to a chatty table of teenage girls with a King Charles Spaniel. Clearing the pavements outside were a troop of lively women in high-vis tops with plastic snow shovels. People in woolen hats and puffer jackets were coming in and out of a small shop opposite, while the snow thickened into flakes that meandered and settled in the park on the other side of the window. It was in this park that the impression of a normal Sunday morning unravelled. There, at intervals either side of a walkway, were billboards that formed an avenue of placards, each bearing the name and photograph of a man recently killed. Fallen soldiers, the lost fathers, sons and brothers of Mostiska, likely known to the girls with the spaniel at the table next to mine. I'd made it over the frontier from Poland into Ukraine, but here was a border I could not cross, only look at from the outside. at a people trapped in a parallel reality of waking nightmare, isolated from the rest of us by the membrane of emotional quarantine within which only they exist. Even 800 kilometers from the front line, everyone here is fighting the war, more or less, in one way or another. After 4 years, everyone bears its scars. The tourist, crusading philanthropist or adventuring voyeur, can only gaze from the other side of this divide. He can come and go. The Ukrainians are stuck on their side of the frontier. As surreal as the nearby city of Lviv might be in the soft light of snow, its frieze refracting sunlight in tiny crystals of forensic definition, its hubbub and the rumble of cobbled streets baffled by its winter covering, its central cafes and restaurants garlanded in Valentine decor. Even this far west, the war is not out of reach. Generators dot the pavements. There are noticeably more women than men, and the men have prosthetic limbs. And although no one pays much heed, air raid sirens wail intermittently. The last time I visited Mars Field, the cemetery of the fallen in Lviv, was September 2023. Now, after 4 years of war, the place had doubled in size, each grave in an avenue of miniature gardens, wreaths, pot plants, raked stones, flickering candles, bouquets of flowers, each with the dignity of a portrait photo of its incumbent, eyes telling optimism, pride, defiance, foreboding, each memorial hung with regimental battle flags, yellow and blue, black and red. In the cushioned silence of the snow, the face of a beautiful girl shines from a circle of spruce branches. She lost her life last year. She was 22. A waste of a life? The futility of war? She paid the ultimate price, but was her sacrifice futile? A widowed wife and the parents of their lost sons sit next to him motionless. At the top of the field, a burial is taking place. Men with shovels in the midst of another stricken family. Next to Mars Field is another cemetery. The Likachev Cemetery is a historical monument, a museum, a parkland of huge headstones, gilded tombs and small mausoleums where the deceased, the great and the good of old Galicia have rested in peace since the 18th century. One imagines that some of those who lie here have lived notable lives and died in accord with some sort of life expectancy. Those on the other side, in the cemetery of the fallen, are there because they've fallen. Standing in its midst comes the realization that one is surrounded by people who are not only dead, but who have died violently.
En Camino with Kid Hogg.
Welcome back. That song we'd heard before the outbreak is by Junip. It's called Line of Fire. I think it's a beautiful song. Big thanks to Paul Crosby, who's sent some really good news about Donald the buffalo. Apparently he was spared slaughter 2 hours before his potential executioner Eid, and has been transferred to Dhaka Zoo in Bangladesh. So that's such good news. I thought I would give an ode to the month of May because tomorrow is the 31st, the last day of May. And as long as there have been spring rains, May witnesses not only the peak of primavera, but the beginnings of beyond. How blessed, how saved we were this year. We are being saved this year by the amount of rain that we've had. Which has it ended the drought, or has it just masked the drought? I'm not sure, but it's certainly allayed the creeping aridity of Mediterranean Spain. And has left a revitalizing legacy of a choral rush of river, its banks swollen and the air somehow compressed, viscous, with the liquid song of nightingales, flushes of red roses in the garden so exquisite that you double take, breathtaking profusion of wildflowers in meadow, verge and forest, giddy scents of jasmine and orange blossom, and a tsunami of lush head-high herb that has to be sacrificed in its prime before it seeds, before it browns, crisps and beckons fire to the finca, before your own private Costa Rica morphs into the Maghreb. So get hold of that strimmer and start strimming. Because the bucolic summit of May is the tipping point when the sap stops in its veins, when the chlorophyll starts to sink toward hardening ground, when gorse drops its yellow blooms and contorts from green flora to spines of something like wire. Nuggets of gold nispros, one of the few actual fruits of spring, start to discolor and shrivel scrotally. Oh, that we might stop the season in its Garden of Eden, in its riot of poppies and wild sweet peas, at the climax of its dawn chorus before the blackbird's pick, pick, and the weebling chatter of the finches is submerged and then silenced by the baleful rasp of the cicada and the increasingly frantic croak of frogs as they leap to receding waters. That we could tame the sun while still a friend before it turns tyrant. But now the cold country with a hot sun is a hot country with a hot sun, and we scurry for sparse shade to hide from the halogen glare. Like the rough ride of a giddy marijuana cookie pre-crescendo, even though it might be getting hotter than you can handle, you can't get off the bus that is May, because this bus ain't stopping. Destination non-stop to summer. As John the Baptist to Jesus, May is the messenger of summer. May is also the month of hay. The mown campo turns from green to gold, and the ground becomes as dry as the last unburnt log of winter, languishing till autumn in the basket next to the wood burner. Soon it will be June, and in its austere summer raiment, the biscuit landscape is described by the old Portuguese refrain, the remains of May, the colour of a donkey running away. You're listening to En Camino on Talk Radio Europe with me, Kit Hogg, and it's time for our vital roundup of world news. Earlier this month on Butley Drive in Walton, Somerset, where on Wednesday, actually, the truck belonging to a road maintenance company calling itself Stabilised Pavements capsized to a 45-degree abandonment in the very pothole that it was designed to repair. Still, in the UK, a radio station has had to apologise after accidentally announcing the death of King Charles. Do you remember Radio Caroline from the old pirate days in the late 60s? Well, it was them. Due to computer error, the death of a monarch procedure, which all UK radio stations hold in readiness. I'm not sure whether we've got that here in TRE. Anyway, this was activated accidentally on Tuesday, the 19th of May, mistakenly announcing that His Majesty the King had passed away. Radio Caroline, out of decorum and condolence, then fell silent for an appropriate interval. In a later statement, station manager Peter Moore said, "We apologise to His Majesty and to our listeners for any distress caused." More animal news over in Armenia last Friday. Police in Yerevan, the nation's capital, received information that a zebra had escaped from Yerevan Zoo and was wandering loose on the main Myasniskan Avenue. Officials at the zoo, however, said that the zebra wasn't actually a zebra at all. It was a donkey that had been painted black and white. Why would you do that? Bloomberg reports that it's apparently a weird time to be called Claude because the name is now shared with Anthropic's fast-growing Claude AI, a bit like Alexa. Claude is an AI tool produced by the business research laboratory Anthropic, and IBM claims that it surpasses even ChatGPT. A common critique levelled at museums and galleries is that they are old-fashioned and boring. And so the management of Switzerland's Foundation Bayella Museum decided to shake up their image. To mark the museum's new Cézanne exhibition featuring the French post-impressionist Bathers series, the foundation offered free entry to anyone in a swimsuit just for one day. Because nothing says serious appreciation like wandering past Cézanne in your budgie smugglers. Summer is just around the corner, and so are sun lounger wars. Also in his Speedos, a German tourist has won a payout of €900 after he was unable to secure a sun lounger due to other guests reserving them with towels. He was on holiday in Greece 2 years ago, and each morning at 6 a.m., he spent until 6:30 a.m. trying to find a sun lounger. Dear, oh dear. He then sued his tour operator for the reservation system, arguing that sunbeds were so reserved that they were unusable, which means that other people were getting up even earlier to put towels on their sun loungers. I don't know. Or maybe he should have set his alarm for 5 o'clock rather than 6. Anyway, a judge at a district court in Hanover this week ruled in his favour and awarded him €900 in compensation. Now, as you probably already know, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. It's a life-saving procedure combining chest compression to keep blood flowing and rescue breaths to supply oxygen. On March the 25th, this is a ways back now, but this news has just filtered through to me. In Appleton, Wisconsin, instructor Carl Arps was demonstrating signs of a heart attack that became uncannily real. Realizing that their teacher was not pretending and had actually subsided into cardiac arrest, his students at the Fox Valley Technical College immediately sprung into action. From what I was told, they did everything like I told them, 72-year-old Carl Apps remarked from his hospital bed. They saved my life, period. Meanwhile, down the road in Chicago last month, CBS News reported that in a spooky coincidence, the Titanic exhibit at the Volo Museum flooded from thunderstorms on April the 14th, the exact anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. The irony of any Titanic exhibit flooding is weird, said Jim Wojcicki, the museum's director. But that this coincides with April the 14th, this is nothing less than paranormal. And while we're in Chicago, Father McCarthy from the Global Catholic Church decided it would be a good idea to update Chicago-born Father Robert Francis Prevost's personal banking records. And in case you didn't know, Robert Francis Prevost just happens to be the Pope. Calling his local Chicago branch from the Vatican, the Holy Father identified himself by birth, by name, Robert Prevost, and explained that he needed to update the phone number and address on his account. The security screening began, the Pope providing the correct answers, but it turned out that correct wasn't enough. And that he'd have to come down to the branch in person, said his interlocutor on the telephone. Mr. Provost was a little put out by this. Listen, he told the person from the bank that he was speaking to that he couldn't come down. And he said, well, what is the problem anyway? I've given you all the right answers. But the recalcitrant employee of the bank apologized and remained firm. I'm sorry, sir, you'll have to come by in person. Finally, Mr. Provost played his remaining card. Would it matter to you if I told you that I was Pope Leo? He said. The response was immediate. Believing she was being pranked, the bank's employee hung up. Leo, Your Holiness, my sympathies. It happens to the best of us. Yes, welcome to the part of the show we call Things That Grow. All good things around us are sent by the Lord above. But I wonder if a virus de limpieza on your mobile phone falls into that category. That actually happened to me the other day. I got this virus on my phone, which kept telling me I needed to clean my phone. And every time I pressed the cleaning device, it just became more hysterical. So anyway, I took my phone down to Orange, who didn't want to know. I then took my phone to two mobile repair shops. They didn't want to know. Eventually, I found this excellent I'm going to give them a plug, actually, because they were so good. Because when your phone goes out of action, sadly, it's like losing part of your brain. My phone, lobotomized, was cured by Surweb, S-U-R, Surweb, S-U-R-W-E-B, Informatica, S-A-L-E, in Estepona. These guys are the real deal. They're not just sitting in this little shop selling phone covers. They're actually proper dweebs. And within an hour, for 25 euros, the man had my phone up and running, which gave me the opportunity to wander round Estepona on a beautiful sunlit evening. And I just wanted to mention the jacarandas in Estepona. Now, jacaranda blooms have suffered a little bit this year because of the high winds, this nasty tagging Levante wind that we've had for most of last week. So the blooms are a little bit thin, but the pavements are carpeted with glorious lilac-coloured flowers, and the jacaranda, surely one of northern Europe, northern Argentina. It's from. It's got to be one of Argentina's most beautiful exports. Is an especially graceful tree that garlands the streets of subtropical and warmer temperate cities like Estepona. And I know Alicante has a fine heritage of blue jacarandas, slender branches forming filigreed rounded crowns, and in late spring, like now, before any leaves that might detract from the opening spectacle, the jacaranda puts on a flower show. And for couple of months, the entire tree is densely blanketed in bee-beckoning clusters of fragrant lavender blue trumpets, hallucinatorily intense blossom that compels the gaze and lifts the spirits. And so it's still not late. It's still not too late to catch a jacaranda, although those blooms are falling fast. That's all I've got time for today. It's been lovely having your company. Be back next week, hopefully with Janie Jewson. I'm not sure what she's doing today, but there was some urgent appointment that she had to attend. Anyway, it's been great having your company. Like I say, have a great weekend, and see you next week. Adios.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this program, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.